class. I am Jimmy Gonzalez, your instructor for this morning. I would like to request one of representative to lead us a prayer for this morning. So may I request Chelsea to lead us a prayer? Okay, thank you so much, Chelsea. Without further ado, I would like to say good morning to all of you. Of course, I would like you to say to your classmates also that say good morning, and of course to your seatmates, good morning. Okay, thank you so much. I would like to request one representative from the class that we have to read first the classroom rules. May I request Jessie to read the classroom rules. Okay, thank you so much, Jessie. In addition, that we have classroom rules. With that, I would like you to, if you want to answer, all you have to do is to raise your hands, and according to be recognized and still credit to your participation as your oral recitation for this morning. But I'd like to request the president of our class mayors to put down notes of your classmates that we can recognize that you're still around and you're still with us until to the end of our class. And of course, guys, I would like also to request that be with us until to the end of our class. And presence of mind with that, you can cooperate for this discussion. So, anything from the previous topic, I would like to review if you still recognize the elements of tense or what is your, as a summary, that based on the last topic that we discussed, we can still recall the last topic that we already discussed. Okay, Ashley. So, as you can see in the board, Elements of Dance has a acronym BUSD, which stands for what? Okay, Chelsea. Okay, thank you so much. You still remember the last topic that we were discussing. So, BUSD stands for Body, Action, Space, Time, and Energy. Why it is important when we're creating dances? What will happen if there is no action in an acronym BUSD? So you think you're a good performer, you can perform well without this two letters, or this is the letters that is corresponds to each words: BUSD, action, body, action, space, time, and energy. So without it, we cannot perform well. Without it, we cannot consider that we are a good performer. So thank you so much for the cooperation, and thank you so much that you have still recalled the last topic that we discussed last meeting. So as you can see, the complete words are the acronym. The complete meaning of the acronym BUSD stands for Body, Action, Space, Time, and Energy. And all of these are very important to remember, easily to remember that these 5 words are very important when you're creating dances. So before we move on to the next topic, I'd like you to observe what is your observations about on the picture choose on the board. Anyone from the class? What is your observation or your opinion based on the picture you've seen in the screen? Okay? Yeah, that's right, Ashley. You have a good observation. That all of these are important when you're creating rhythmic activities. This is what called the pattern, or sometimes we observe that when we're creating editing video or creating some music, or we're editing some music, sometimes we can identify that there sometimes if they're long or thin, it means that there's a slowness or the fastness of the music or the beat of the music. And of course, when we see there is something thin part here, the notes, and all of these are very important to remember when we are creating rhythmic activities. So thank you so much. So as you can see, accent, tempo, intensity, the beat measures the rhythmic pattern. So the accent, the phrasing, the tempo, the intensity is all up there. You can see this is the element of rhythm. So we can read rhythmic activities. Okay. So rhythmic activities are the manifestation of physical, mental, and emotional response of the individual to rhythm. There are activities in a person responds to physically, socially, and mentally. So it means that the manifestation of physical and mental, emotional, there's something a response in our body, and every time we hear the music or the beat of the music. So head swinging, upward snapping, shoulders, and body moving while music is playing physical reaction for them. And sometimes this is our observation when every time we hear some music that if we really feel that the music is good, we follow, we flowing, we feel that we are comfortable and every time we heard music that is really good in the beat. So indeed, one read, RJ, thank you so much. Okay. In music theory, the beat is a unit of time. The pulse, regularly repeating event or beat level. The beat is often defined as the rhythm listeners stop their toes when listening to a piece of music or the numbers of the musician counts. Sometimes as choreographer or a performer, we persuade that the timing, the beat of the music by stopping our toes, by doing like this, our hands, through hands gestures, we really feel that that is the perfect beat for the perfect timing when we are creating some choreography. Beat is the underlying cause of rhythm. When every time we're creating some rhythm, there is something a basis which is the beat. We cannot create rhythm without beat. So, based on your observation, how can we create rhythm without beat? Is this possible that we can create rhythm without beat? Yes, Ashley? Yeah, it's possible, but I think without beat, it's because beat is the basis of all. I think much better that we put some beat according to have a timing, and of course, we can perform well when according to the beat and the rhythm coincide with each other, and there is something a relationship between beat and the rhythm. We cannot create rhythm without beat, or we can create also rhythm without it, but sometimes we are looking for the perfect timing, or sometimes we really feel that the music is boring. Rhythm is the regular recurrence of accent and unaccent beats, two kinds of beats, on beats and off beats. Accent, sometimes when we're creating some rhythm or the music, there's something accent on it. With that, we can emphasize the perfect or the finale or the climax of the performance. So let's move on to the next topic. So be sure, can read Richard. Okay, thank you so much, Richard. Now, based on the definition, measure is the section of stop counts between two bars. Each measures satisfy that specified time signature as song written in 4/4. Time will hold for quarter notes beats per minute is a measurement of time that contains specific. So I think you're not familiar on the bar as I have here the examples. Stories. So and every time we can actually this is very familiar to us based on the genre of the music. It's based on the standard also the music and the genre. We can identify or we can justify that that the counting itself based on the genre it's coincide or something perfect timing when it comes to the counting. So 4/4 it means that fourth 1, 2, 3, 4 repeated itself 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is as you can see measures. This is a two bar lines at two bracket which is 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, and it's repeated itself same what you call that um, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 at the fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The countings repeat itself from 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. And it sometimes based on my observation and based on my experience, I am I am a amateur dancer. Sometimes we can usually use the counting pattern which is the 1 to 8. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the verse 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it is very familiar to us when we are creating dances. So let's move. Number of pulses defined by a time signature, depending on the value of pulse or group of pulses, make up a beat. A measure contains a natural division of string beats and weak beats. So when it comes to measure, as you can see, there is two bar lengths, and this has what you call a bracket. So it means that there is something string beats and weak beats, and it has a division between the two. Sometimes we can hear that the count is strong, and sometimes the counting is weak, and it depends on the music itself. So a rhythmic pattern can be Chelsea. Okay, thank you so much, Chelsea. The arrangement of a long and short intervals is relative to the underlying beat, accompanied by the dividing the beat into parts and combining beat into different ways. Rhythm makes music move and flow made of sounds and silences put together to form patterns of sounds. Rhythm is the element of time in music. When you tap your foot to the music, you are keeping the beat or following the structural rhythmic pulses. So, class, what is your observation if there is no rhythm? Okay, thank you so much, RJ. That is a good idea. I think you have a good idea, and without rhythm, our life is boring. Sometimes a rhythm or a music consider as the and how we unstress ourselves. It depends on the music itself that we really feel that we're comfortable in expressing ourselves. Also, so rhythm in dance comes from three sources: movement, music, and emotions. So with that, we have a movement, and then and depends on the rhythm itself. We can apply a perfect movement for that. It depends on the music and emotions. So there's music and emotions and movement as a perfect relationship when it comes to rhythmic activities. Rhythmic helps the dancers organize motion by providing a structure. And sometimes, as a dancers, it depends on the genre itself, we can put the perfect actions or structures when it comes to performing on a show. It sets a pulse for the dancers and supports contrast and accents the movements. So sometimes it depends on the genre of dances, we can put something accents on it by extending our hands, the beat of the music and the beat of the flow of our body. We can put accents in it. So rhythm can be even simple or complex. And sometimes as we hear the music, there's something complicated, and it sometimes if we're not if we're not as a performer, if we're not a performer, we cannot identify what is the perfect or what is the genre of the music or the rhythm itself. And according to identify, sometimes we feel the beat of the music, which is the basis of creating a rhythm. So important aspect of rhythm. So tempo, the speed of beat. Tempo indications are often designated by Italian terms. So ang tempo is the speed of the beat, and that is very important to us to familiarize the beat, which is when we're creating rhythm. So it has largo, large or laboured, andagio, slow, andante, steady, walking tempo, moderato, it means moderate, and allegro, fast, and happy, it means jolly. So presto, very fast. This is what's called when we're creating some music or rhythm, we can identify or we can intensify what is the perfect timing or creating a climax when it comes when every time we perform. So pattern refers to the grouping of sounds or beats related to the underlying beat. So when we're creating rhythm, there's also a pattern. So what will happen if if there is no pattern? What will be the result or what is the output of the performance if there is no pattern? Okay, RJ, thank you so much. That is a good idea. That what will be the result? Your opinion, and if there is no pattern when you're creating dances. So in music, there is a pattern. There is something slow or high or fast or based on the tempo of the music, and then sometimes as a performer, we have to intensify or there's something a bracketing of movements. It depends on the tempo of the music. That is why we call pattern. So there's a grouping of movements or beats in the one set. So phrasing, who can read from the class? Ashley. Okay, Ashley. Okay, thank you so much. So phrasing, according to Bloom and Chaplin dance, the phrase is the basic element of composition. It's a basic element of composition and choreography. It is a short but a complete unit because it contains this basic structure, which means that there is a beginning, middle, and end. When we're creating a performance or creating dances, there is what you call we have to put something, an opening, the middle or the end, which is the climax of the story of the performance when we're performing on stage or we're dancing. So I think this basic structure is very important to us, and according to emphasize what is the perfect timing of creating something, some performance. So a praise is to dance as a sentence is poetry. A praise has both form and content. So, as the you said, this sentence this is poetry. When you're creating a poetry, there's something, an intensity, how to intensify the story behind that poetry or that poem. So, when it comes to dancing, we have to put something different, or we have to what you call that to intensify of when creating dances. So, choreographic phrase is often confused with movement combination. The purpose of movement combination is to provide technical challenge. That is what called um, the structures, which is the beginning, the middle, and the end. So I think when we're creating dances, there is something technical challenge when we say typical challenge that we have to emphasize the climax, the beginning and the middle, and we're not sometimes we can intensify through our energy and through the skills of the dancers. So choreography phrases, however, has a different intention to convey feelings, energies, ideas to prevent visual impressions, a story, symbol, or design element. And this, based on the feelings, images, ideas to prevent impressions. All of these are something relevant to when we're creating dances as a cultural dance. For indigenous people, we are very sensitive when it comes to the choreography. And then sometimes in modern dance, we're expressing ourselves in different genre. But I think we have to convey the people when it comes to their feelings, our feelings also. We have to how we can express ourselves that through dances that we are a good performer. So dance phrases vary both length and shape, long, repetitive, evenly phrases, a series of short phrases with strong climaxes. So sometimes choreography has a long and repetitive choreography, evenly phased phrases. So a series of short phrases with strong climaxes. Sometimes there's this what you call the succession. It fast, but then you can see the impact of the performance when it comes to the synchronization of movements itself and the output itself is very clean and it is so very emphasized and you can have the perfect timing based on the beat and the rhythm of the music. So let's move on to accent. You can read. Richard, you can read accent. Okay, thank you so much, Richard. An accent in dance is movement or shape performance in such a way as to give emphasis. Accent can be in music or dance. So, as an audience class, if you observe what will be the result of the performance if there is no accent. Okay, thank you so much, Jesse. And that based on your observation, if there is no accent, the performance is getting boring, or you're looking for something the finale or the climax of the performance on the way they perform. So accent is very important when creating rhythmic activities such as dancing, cultural dance, or anything that is very entertaining. So when we're dancing, we have to put some accents, which is how to emphasize our dances in different level. So an accent may take place in a particular beat or melodic detail. So accent can be found on the beat of the music, the rhythm, the effects can be considered as accent. So an example of accent might be louder note or beat in a song, but this is not the only way to create an accent. You could also have an accent or on off beat. So I think when we heard the music that we can easily identify that accent is found on the set of the music. Sometimes the effects, the voice over can consider as accent. The beat of the sounds based on the bracketing or the intensity of the music we consider as accent. So accents are also used in music and may sometimes be referred to as stress. A stress sometimes this is what called high notes or low notes of the music that we consider an accent. So class, what will be the results of the performance if there is no an accent? So RG, okay, thank you so much. That is a good idea or observation that life is getting boring if there is no accent and performance is getting dull. And with that, accent is very important when we're creating dances and according to intensify the performance of the performer. So tempo can be thought of as the speed of the music and the speed of the motions of dance. Tempo is as usually measured in beats per minute. So sometimes you can see this the acronym BPM with these beats per minute and it based on the performance and the tempo. we can apply, or we can put we can intensify our actions or our choreography based on the tempo or the slowness, the fastest of the music, and we can and we can exage the choreography based on the tempo of the music. So intensity, strength, power, and passion, brightness of the light. Intensity dance team helps young people find the inner power and strength through dance, allowing their light to shine as brightly as possible. So intensity, the strength, the power, the passion, and the bright of light. So it means there is an accent between when every time we perform, we put some accent which is to intensify the performance of the performer. The strength, the power, and the energy itself must be there when every time we perform on stage. So it depends on the genre itself. The genre, the different kind of dances based on uh, how we can express ourselves through dancing, how we can convey our audiences that we are a good performer. So I think we have to intensify, or the intensity itself of the performance must be there when and every time we can, and every time we perform. So based on your observation, or most of the performance based on the community that you observe, I think what will be the result if there is no intensity when we're performing at the crowd? Yes, Jesse, are you raising your hands or recognized to speak? Okay, thank you so much. Intensity is very familiar to us when we are dancing. So in dancing, we have to to intensify our choreography. The strength, the power itself must there to have to persuade that we feel the music, the movements, and collide each other, and it's perfect timing on it. That we can convince our audience that we are good performer. We have here the elements of space. You can read. Okay. The line or course in which something is moving, or its aim to move, along which sometimes is pointing or facing the path along which something moves, lies, or points. Direction can be based from the in relationship to the room, in relation to the body position, basic directions in the movement with respect to the room. Sometimes we can consider, as a performer, we have to consider the space given in a certain place, and how we can use or utilize the given space in a certain places. With that, we can use the objects inside the dance hall. We can use, and we can move our choreography freely and according to have the perfect view to the audience. So line of dance. So as you observe, there are arrows, the movements between the floor and the area itself. It's very important to familiar what is the perfect angle, the perfect movement, the perfect placing of ourselves when we are performing. Sometimes we're the diagonal center against line of dance, the center, the diagonal center, and against the line of dance, which is the diagonal wall against. Okay, what will be the result if there is no line of dance? We cannot put ourselves in a proper placement when every time we perform. Okay, thank you so much, Ashley. That is a good opinion. And of course, we have to familiarize where we are to the proper placement and when every time we perform. Because we have to convey our audiences, the perfect angle, the choreography itself, based on the given space or the area. We have to familiarize also, because every choreography or every formation really affect on what is the perfect angle for that. So the direction of torques indicate in one of the following ways: clockwise versus counterclockwise, right versus left torrents, natural versus reverse torrents, inside versus outside torrents. And I think this is very important when we're creating dances and formation or transition stage. This is very important. So next, the height of the performer in relationship to the floor. Can we? Sorry, Richard. Can I read low? Thank you. Low movements are positioning near the floor, lying, sitting, crouching, and rolling, and that's all. You know that this choreography is very familiar in a stage play, just like performer Lady Gaga, Beyonce. This is very familiar, like the crouching, the crawling. When we're performing, we have to use the floors as a dancer. We have to use and utilize the given space, or just like for example the floor, and according to how to express ourselves and what we are conveying our audience, so that we can perform well or we're a good performer. So next is middle. Middle movements are positioning in equal distance from the ends or side, standing, traveling, moving, or going and to play. So usually this choreography can be used on transition or making formation. Sometimes we're not staying in one place or another, but we have to utilize this space so that we can use this as choreography, just like standing, traveling, walking, different areas, just like moving in the middle, and we have to put something middling. So lastly is the high. High movements are the positioning of the rising or extending upwards or a great distance from the floor. Sometimes the jumps, sometimes the leaps, and sometimes group leaps and tiptoes. Kento, just like this, or something there's lifting, just like the genre of hip hop, modern dance, and folk dance. Also, there's something liftings, just like risers. They use for that for lifting. So all of this, the high performance relationship to the floor, which is the low, middle, and high, is very important to us to emphasize and to highlight the best performance when we're doing such rhythmic activities. So based on your observation class, what would be the result or what would be the output if there's no relationship to the floor? What will be the output of the performance? Based on your opinion and idea, don't be shy to share your opinion with so that I could recognize that as also I can impart you can impart your knowledge also when it comes to rhythmic activities. Okay, Chelsea. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. So, based on your opinion that all of these are very important when creating dances or when it comes to rhythmic activities, all of these are important to highlight or put an accent when they're creating dances or a different kind of presentation. But we have to utilize the space, the floor, and we have to lift things and according to put accents on the performance that we have to persuade to the audience. So lastly, level, the vertical distance from the floor movements takes place in the three levels: high, middle, and low or a dip level. So leveling, it's usually happen on the hip hop, modern dance, as I observe. This is very familiar to us. So is of course the range we can read. Okay, RJ. Okay, thank you so much, RJ. Range refers to the area covered as the body moves. It may be small as when the movement is done in one place, or large when movement covers a wide area as when getting away from one place to another. Just like, for example, just like this, when you're moving side to side, it means that it comes from different places, but in a wide or short range. And next is the floor pattern, the path or design that is made while moving in space is what is termed as floor pattern. It may take a form of circle, straight line, or zigzag. Just like when we're talking about zigzag, zigzag like this, and this. Next is the straight line or square. But when we're talking about straight line, just like this, only like this, or square when 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is very important to us when we're creating dances, or this is the most basic choreography when we're moving our feet from left to side, same movements, but we have to move in one place to another according to use and utilize the given space in a certain places for the dance hall. So, focus. Audience for viewers' eyes in drone dancers. Single focus looking in the direction of movement. Multi-focus changing heat eye. Focus during the movement, size, use of size in given space or range of the motions. As what I said, so as a trainer or a choreographer, we have to put the perfect angle, the focus of the audiences, so that we have a perfect visions on creating a choreography. Formation, a transition can create also an impact so a good result on in a way on how we perform on stage. So the where viewers eyes drone dancers focus looking in the direction of movement. So as dancers, we have to focus the perfect movement, the perfect angle, so that we can give the perfect performance on the view of the audience. So I think that's all for this topic. And with you, with you class, what is your observation of if you're given a chance to be a choreography? Can you think you can consider all these aspects or the elements of rhythm? Um, Ashley. Okay, thank you so much, Ashley. That is a great idea that we have to consider this all of these elements with that to give the perfect output when you're creating dances. So if you're giving a chance task to give a choreography, so you think it is very suitable for giving a performance? Okay. Thank you so much, RJ. That is good idea. That as dancers or a trainer, we can consider the elements or the elements of rhythm so that we can convey our audience that we're good performance, that we're perform well. So that is the end of our topic of this morning. I would like um, to say congratulations to all of you class. We're ended. But before that, I would like to give you a short quiz regarding on the topic that we're discussing this morning. This is 10 items, but I would like you to remind us your assignments that you have to review your notes, the previous topic that we're discussing regarding this subject matter, but so that you can answer your final examination. And that would be all. God bless and good luck to your quiz and all of course to your examination and the next and a final. And thank you and God bless us all.